Censorship is bad. I know, crazy hot take, shoot me. But that opinion within itself is something that is becoming more and more into question every single day and is consistently being tested by our governments. Where I usually just make ReZero content and talk about the content within the anime, today I want to focus on an issue that stems from outside of the anime and outside of this series' control, and something that will have a larger impact on not just ReZero as a series, but the anime medium as a whole. And that topic is going to be the Online Safety Act that just passed within the UK. You may have heard a couple of other creators such as Wendigoon or Moist Critical or Chibi Reviews talk about this, so I want to focus on this and give my own perspective and my own take on the issue and why this could generally impact our favorite animes and why this is overall such a bad thing. Anyways, if you like this type of content, if you like ReZero, if you like anime or media in general, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and I'm just gonna get right into the topic. So going back 2 years to 2023, the Online Safety Act was passed, and now on July 25th of 2025, this act is going to finally be enforced, in which communicators and media branchers and social media websites are going to have a list of requirements that they are going to have to meet now. Instead of just having a simple checkbox to fill in your age verification, you will now have to provide some form of identification, whether that be a photo ID or credit card number, just something along those lines. Failure for companies to do as such and enforce such policies will result in an 18 million euro fine for these companies. Now, on a surface level, you may look at this idea and this law and question what is so bad about this. I mean, what is so bad with wanting to restrict our children's access on the internet and have companies enforce these ideas? I mean, as a fellow internet user and somebody who is on this every single day, it is objectively true that you will see some crazy shit, and kids are open to seeing some crazy stuff. And that is the roots of this bill. They want you to believe that they are doing this for the children and for the sake of the kids and protecting their eyes from the crazy internet and all the crazy stuff they'll see on there. And that is the ultimate gotcha. When you bring kids into the equation, it will make almost anybody, not be able to disagree with you. It is a very touchy topic and something that, even if you try to push past a surface level, most people will instantly cut you off on and will instantly, deduce your opinion to nothing. Because, I mean, obviously kids are the most vulnerable people within society and one that needs to be protected more than anybody else. So like I said, on a surface level, this looks good. But as I said again, this is a ruse, and this is not what the main issue of the bill is about. Past the gaze, they want you to believe that being, censorship for children, deep down, this is an issue of government censorship, and the government wanting to have a say in what you view and what you watch. It gives a group such as Ofcom, aka the UK regulators that are enforcing this act that work for the government, an ability to control what you are seeing and control what is being said. Now, the obvious problem that stems from this, and the obvious issue with censorship as a whole, is who gets the right to say what is bad, what is wrong, and what children should and shouldn't be seeing? Leaving that within the hands of the government within itself is a very questionable decision and leaves it up to the country of a governing body to decide what your child should be seeing. On top of this law in specific is particularly vague and doesn't go after illegal content within general, but rather goes under what they deem as harmful content. And like I just said, who has the right to deem something as harmful? Past this issue of general vagueness and the problem with the fact being that no one on there can really define what exactly is harmful, we need to talk about how this is going to have an impact on, your favorite anime, my favorite anime, a series such as ReZero, for example. Now, I will say for myself, I first got into ReZero when I was still a kid. I was only 15 when I first watched the series, and it is safe to say that this animated content has some explicit scenes in which that there is bodily horror and very messed up things that go on within the anime. And looking past the bodily horror, there are definitely some questionable designs that can be seen within the series on top of this. But looking past these issues that could be seen as problems for, children watching the series, there is a deep theme and a deep message out there that is meant to be put into the world. And the problem is when you start including censorship and controlling what people see and don't see within a series like this, it impacts that message and it impacts that theme. You are not viewing the story within its true lens and instead looking under an edited version that, is provided you by your government, in which you can say that, oh, well, it's just a couple of scenes that is going to be cut out. It's not a big deal. And that it's not a big deal mindset is what leads to this inevitable spiral. Because sure, right now, it may just be, editing out a couple of scenes out of your favorite show or your favorite series. And you may just brush it off as, oh, it's not that big of a deal, until this tumbles and the domino effect takes place, as just a couple of scenes turns into a couple of episodes, which we've seen with other series out there, such as South Park, which just pushed to Paramount Plus, got about like 16 plus episodes removed and banned from censorship. The harsh truth is that it never just is those couple of scenes. The spiral never stops spiraling. It will continue and progress to the point where we will start seeing whole episodes of shows get banned, or whole series within itself gets banned, because companies, the ones that air them and produce the media, out there, such as Crunchyroll, are scared to platform these animes and platform these shows because they are scared that they are going to be put under attack and put under the scrutiny of the government. We'll put a show out there like ReZero that could be deemed as potentially harmful and has many graphic themes involved. You risk the potential of being fined and having to pay a lot of money, and it becomes a problem of capital versus gain, in which these companies will rather choose to not platform these series at all for the purpose of saving themselves money. Now, that is a deeper issue within itself, but that's a story for another day. But the harsh truth is just that is the society that we live in. That is the world of today, and that is how it is going to be for the foreseeable future. On top of this, the privacy issue needs to be discussed also. Having to put your face identity or real verification or credit card number online on the internet like that to confirm their identity is an insane risk on so many levels. These companies, in a lot of cases, do not have the best security and are easily breached. I'm gonna go way off topic here, but look at something like that stupid dating app or whatever that just showed up on the App Store. It got completely breached, and over 200 people's face and identities were just dropped online. Or my mistake, not 200. Literally every single user who showed up and posted a face ID to get onto that app and confirm their identity got posted online. Whatever security you think these companies are giving you when you submit such information, it's not there. Your info will be getting leaked, and now that we have a law like this being passed, it is only going to be worse from here. I really do want to talk about the root of the issue here, that being the wording of this law, being that harmful does not equal illegal. This is just a slippery slope to state-guided censorship, in which what you may not consider harmful, many others out there could be considered harmful. Things such as political dissent, cultural discussions, cultural critiques, LGBTQ plus discussions, things that you may not consider harmful can be easily rewritten and deemed as harmful depending on person to person. When you look at a country like the UK, for example, they are a relatively liberal and open country. They are one that is pretty open to freedom of self, LGBTQ plus rights, and stuff of like that. But imagine you implemented this law into another country such as China or Saudi Arabia. People will be looking at this at a completely different lens. The truth of the matter is just that people are having personal bias because it is a Western country. So they are saying that it is okay because it is more guided towards their beliefs and their views. When the root of the issue is just that censoring people like this within general is a problem and limits the freedom of expression and limits a series' ability to express itself and, fully get across its message. And when you start doing something like this, it is derivative of companies that are backing these series and outputting this media who rely on income because we live in a, capitalistic society. It removes these corporations and companies' abilities away to want to take risk and want to outbranch, to change from the norm. And when you start getting rid of change from the norm and companies are being promoted to not, allow diversity within what their product is and, a little bit of change, something new, they are going to stick to a, more basic and stricter line of product, which in turn will inevitably silence creators and encourage creators to create a more, stricter and thematically, cultural appropriate story. Imagine something like Berserk or Mushoku Tensei, for example. That's a big one that is definitely going to be impacted by this law, as we see with Rudius's actions, which are undoubtedly questionable at times, but it is not derivative of the whole story within itself. Not every series and every piece of media is going to be implicit of a story that is going to be structural and linear. There are going to be bad characters within a medium. There are going to be evil characters within a series. Those characters are sometimes going to be protagonists because that is just a reflection of the real world and how society so often works. So to go after and attack these, characters and attack authors for trying to implement a message out there that may not be seen as the most PC, it is inherently derivative of censorship and silencing what people's true freedom of expression is. I'm not saying that there should be no censorship at all within the world. Hate speech is a true thing and it is very much real. But this censorship, what I am saying, is not for the sake that they are trying to make you believe it is for. It is derivative of a way to control you. They are trying to find and go about ways to control what you view, control what you see, get more of your privacy, get your, private information, all under the deceitful guise of being for the children and to protect what kids see online. Because who is going to attack a narrative that is trying to protect children? It is one of the most manipulative things you can do. It is something you often see within lawmaking, in which lawmakers will pass bills and push forward bills that have very defensible names that strike emotion within people, all for the sake of them to not understand what is really happening within that bill and to strike emotion and strike a chord within their body and make them want to be for that bill, even though that bill within itself is completely and entirely different than what it is actually saying it is for. Something that I completely forgot to mention was the impact this will have on small communities and, the implementation of those series. Take something for Which Cult Translations, for example, which is a translating site for ReZero. A small community like this, it's branched together, not much profit at all. I'm not even sure if they profit, if I'm being 100% on with you, but it is people out there pushing together the translations of a piece of media so that people out there can enjoy it and, experience their favorite series. Well, now that you have a law like this passing, they are going to have a looming threat over them at all times, and all it takes is a couple of reports to really get implement and government within your face. This will in turn block access to a lot of international art, in which may be different from your own cultural perspective. So instead of being able to look at different perspectives from out there in the world that we may see, with Eastern European art or Japanese art or art from there, you are getting provided tunnel vision into what you view, which is exactly what they want, including, your privacy and your data information. Altogether, this law is just silly. It is a manipulatively worded law that is trying to treat adults like children, limit what you view, putting your privacy at risk, and is something that is a general cause for concern considering the way the world is moving right now. And it will definitely, without a doubt, have an impact upon the series that you like. Whether those series are rooted in good themes or bad themes, that is not up to you anymore. It is up for the government to decide who should ultimately not have the hammer within this, in which I want to say a point that I agree with that I hear very often. The government should not have a say in what children are viewing. That is not the government's problem. The problem and the view that of what children should be seeing on the internet is dictated to the parents. Parents should have the responsibility of controlling what they see and what their children see online. It is not the government's job to babysit your child because you give them a fucking iPad all day and let them suck on their finger as they go ahead and just open the internet and have unlimited access to anything. That is your job as a parent to limit what your child views. And if you want to say, oh, that's too difficult, I'm too busy, that is just excuses and it is lame. It is very easy to limit what your child views if you literally just go into something like Apple settings, for example. That is why I think this child protection, gaze and roost they try to throw it under is so easily debunkable, because that is not what it is about. It is about having a stake in what you see and controlling your privacy. Now, I do want to say personally that I do not live in the UK or the European Union, but it is also be said that you are not safe if you live in America, as America has had bills like this being pushed and sponsored out there too. Not just them that is trying to be controlled, it is other countries out there. So you as a viewer and as a listener, no matter where you live, make sure you do your best to voice your opinion and get what you want to say said, because letting an issue like this just pass and brushing it off as nonsense, oh, that could never happen to me, is silly, to say the least. It's silly. But anyways, that's enough rambling for today's video. This is an issue I really wanted to address, and I hope people tune in and hear it, because it is something that is a serious problem, and I'm just trying to spread awareness for this issue. Yeah, anyways, that about does it for the video. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.